Anna Kasparian is independent and unaligned now, at least according to the title of a Substack post she published on September 30th, 2024. And, there's a lot of talk among the left of TYT moving to the right, and I don't believe that's happened. I think their commentary is incredibly anti-Biden, I'd argue occasionally unfairly so. However, they don't criticize him from the right a good majority of the time. However, what I think is so noteworthy about this development is that Anna's been doing it for over a year now. Here's a clip from July 2023.
So it's funny because, I'm going through something very real and very sincere, and it's uncomfortable, and it has not been an enjoyable process for me. It's been difficult. And so the internet being what it is, all sorts of people from all sorts of political ideologies have theories on what's actually happening with me, right? And the main accusation, both from the left and the right, is that I'm grifting, which is hilarious because literally nothing has changed about my work life. I'm in the same place. I have the same audience. The audience doesn't like some of what I have to say or some of the new conclusions I've come to. And so I wanted to kind of set the record straight about what I have personally experienced. I don't know what my political labels are at this point, right? Because I feel like I don't really fit anywhere. And that's just full honesty. It's, again, very uncomfortable for me. And I want to say that out of any point in my adult life, this is probably the point where I'm the most malleable and open to new information because of what I've experienced over the last few years.
Now, this was just after TYT was being criticized for transphobia in the wake of Anna tweeting about her dislike of the term birthing person. And in case you forgot about that situation, it is discussed extensively in this article, with Anna even showing the tweet that started this whole thing, which read, "I'm a woman. Please don't ever refer to me as a person with a uterus, birthing person, or person who menstruates. How do people not realize how degrading this is? You can support the transgender community without doing this shit." Now, even though this was over a year and a half ago, Anna still talks about this incident quite a bit. This article was not the first time it was brought up since it happened. In fact, here's Anna about a year ago talking about it on a podcast and making a bizarre comparison.
This is the thing that annoys me about this entire issue and conversation, because they'll turn around and they'll say, no one's calling you a birthing person. Okay, does someone need to call an individual who finds the N-word offensive, the N-word, in order for him or her to find it offensive or degrading? You get what I'm saying? Of
course.
No one needs to be called that word to find it problematic or to have an issue with it.
The answer is obviously not. However, first off, that word is specifically used to degrade people. The term birthing person, regardless of what you personally think about it, is not. What you are doing is comparing a slur, a word specifically used to insult and demean a group of people, with a neutral description that you personally dislike. That doesn't make any sense. And this is just after she says this, and I have no idea how she got from point A to point B here.
What's wrong with being called a birthing person?
Well, first of all, not all women even have the capacity to get pregnant. So it's degrading to them to be essentially to have their womanhood questioned if they're not
what a point
if they're unable to have kids to begin with.
So by not using the term woman when talking about people who have the capacity to get pregnant, you're tying the ability to get pregnant to womanhood? How exactly? I genuinely don't see how you came to that conclusion. If anything, it sounds like it would do the exact opposite. The same interview also gives us this clip.
The drug war was a failure. And so going back to the drug war, I don't think is going to be effective. But you know what else isn't effective? Using taxpayer money, funneling it to nonprofits so they can literally buy crack pipes and hand them out at Skid Row.
And bleach
there's
pits.
video evidence of that.
How does that make
so
any sense?
anyone on the left who
Yeah.
wants to come at me and pretend like this is just a right-wing scaremongering talking point, you're full of crap.
Now, first off, I like how Anna specifically decided to say those on the left, because only people on the left could think that isn't happening. Nobody who's on the right or in the center could possibly be making the mistake Anna is describing, apparently. I'll link an LA Times story in the sources if you would like more information on what is happening, but essentially this is just a harm reduction method done to make sure that people who are already addicted to drugs don't overdose and die. We want to get them smoking. Basically, fentanyl is in everything, she said. The she here being a woman named Sandra Mims, a community health worker who is involved in this situation. Drug dealers put it to make it more addicting, and it's so powerful it keeps them coming back. The people dying are mostly black youth. Smoking drugs poses less risk of overdose than injecting because the ingestion patterns are different. Opioid smokers take small amounts throughout the day to starve off withdrawal, while those who inject shoot the whole hit. In that case, if the dosage is off, or the drug contains higher than expected levels of fentanyl, users can go into overdose before they know what hit them. Some studies suggest that handing out pipes helps turn injection-only users into smokers. I should note, I'm not commenting on if this is a good or a bad idea. The article also makes it clear that even among activists, this is a controversial proposition. However, the rationale does at the very least seem worth discussing. In fact, I would argue that if you are under the impression that harm reduction methods are effective, which again is an entirely different debate, not really related to what's being discussed, then this seems like, at the very worst, a somewhat misguided idea. But Anna doesn't really make a case against it, she just says it as if it's self-evidently absurd, when I just explained to you why this was first proposed. There's an actual case to be made that you have to argue against if you want to show it to not be a good idea. And I want to go back to that Substack post from recently, because Anna says at the end she wants to pursue open-mindedness. Did you guys hear open-mindedness in the clip I just played? She says she wants to nurture curiosity, but she clearly didn't have any curiosity as to why anybody would think this was a good idea. I did. That's why I read that Los Angeles Times article, because I wanted to see the rationale for doing something like that. I should note, I'm getting most of these clips from a place called Post Left Watch, a Twitter account that Anna does not seem to like. Here's her talking about it back in April.
They're online all day. Yes, they're gonna clip me. What's amazing to me is they clip me out of context. And there's that Post Left Watch account on Twitter or X or whatever you wanna call it. And usually what I would do is I would quote tweet the out of context videos and say, yes, I did say this. And I further said, and I would just defend myself. But more importantly, I would thank this person for amplifying my common sense argument that most people agree with. You know what he did after that? He blocked me so he can continue posting out of context clips without giving me the ability to weigh in or defend myself.
Yeah, Anna needs to defend herself from these out of context clips where she says common sense things and gets free promotion because her views are so obviously common sense. Take this back and forth as an example, where Post Left Watch says, Anna Kasparian praises Ron DeSantis in Florida for passing an anti-squatter bill and criticizes New York and California for, quote, sitting on their asses and doing nothing about it. She undercuts the premise when she says, quote, we don't know how widespread squatting really is. Anna responded to this out-of-context attack on her by saying the following. Thank you again for the free publicity. Yes, the bipartisan bill that DeSantis just signed protecting homeowners from thieves and squatters should be commended. Anyway, to bring this all around to what this was originally supposed to be about, here's Anna in April talking about the whole birthing person thing. She starts off by completely misrepresenting what happened.
I just felt like it was awkward and I didn't like it. That's all I was saying, by the way. Like, I don't like this and I think it's goofy and I think it turns people off. And that led to like an insane firestorm that I did not expect.
That's not what happened. She called the language degrading, essentially saying it was actively insulting. And then she says, after talking about this for almost 2 minutes, that she just doesn't care about it.
At this point, I don't care. Like, I don't care about any of it. Like, I don't care about any of that stuff. I don't care about the criticism I'm getting.
Now, if Anna would like to know what not caring actually does sound like, I'd recommend her this clip of her during the Ketanji Brown Jackson hearings in 2022, where Jackson was criticized by Republicans for using inclusive language.
It's bad faith. They know there's a difference between gender and sex. They know that it is very possible for someone to be born a biological male or a biological female, but in terms of gender, identify differently as a male or non-binary, but they still have the biological capacity, the physical capacity to get pregnant. So that's why the language, the rhetoric is inclusive to include those people. It is not a big deal.
Regarding the controversy that tweet caused, Anna writes the following in her Substack post. TYT's volunteer YouTube chat moderators quit over the tweet, and someone reported me to Human Resources. An on-air transgender contributor even resigned from the company after being urged by online mobs and leftist shows to do so. Curious that not one of those shows hired her after she took their advice. She's talking about Benny Carlo, and watching that video, that is not what was talked about. Don't get me wrong, the whole birthing person thing was mentioned. However, the main points raised were that her and Cenk Uygur commonly appeared ignorant on topics related to transgender people, doing things like badly fumbling the issue of transgender people in sports, and encouraging those on the left to give up on the topic entirely because they saw it as a losing issue. It also makes note of Anna promoting the works of Jesse Singal, who is described as transphobic. My final thoughts are this. Kasparian is continuing to mislead her audience on a situation where all the details have been public knowledge for a very long time. All of this over something she has elsewhere said she doesn't care about. Good night and good luck.